Hello, my dear friends. This is Vipul Purohit and welcome you once again on my YouTube channel. My dear friends, today I have come up with a very important issue. It's going to be a global issue, and that is about e-waste. Yes, you heard it well. It's e-waste, which stands for electronic waste. So here we go, my dear friends. To begin with, the very first question which goes on into our mind is, what is e-waste? And the answer to this, my dear friends, is very simple. E-waste is electronic products that are unwanted, not working, that is, they're not in working condition, or nearing or at the end of their useful life. This is what is e-waste is all about. Next, we will now try to understand, my dear friends, what are the contributories for this e-waste? They are being broadly classified into three categories. We go into the first category, and that is office and medical equipments. I give you some examples: printers, IT servers, cords and cables, Wi-Fi dongles, dialysis machines, imaging equipment, audio and video equipments, uninterrupted power supply, which we also call it as a UPS system, autoclave, scientific calculators, and so on. So all these are some of the examples which comes under office and medical equipment. We go into the next segment, my dear friends. And what the next segment tells us about. Yes, the home appliances. The commonly used appliances are microwaves, electric cookers, heaters in countries like US, Canada, where the mercury drops down to a very low temperature, fans, ACs, steam iron, and so on. Along with home appliances, we have also communication and information technology devices. Examples, cell phones. Okay, they have practically replaced all the other systems. The world, especially in pandemic, the education system was working on cell phones, the smartphones, the desktops, the laptops, circuit board, hard drives, pen drives, and so on. We have a third segment, and that we talk about is home entertainment devices. DVDs, they are still being used in certain cases, stereos, video game system, home theaters, printers, and so on. We also have utilities such as heating pads, the smart lights, the smart watches, the heat monitors, and we also have devices which is going to test the blood pressure and the diabetes. So these comes under utilities. So my dear friends, this is just a brief scenario about what are the contributories towards the generation of e-waste. All right. Next. Now, when we talk about why the e-waste is generated, who's actually responsible? Obviously, the answer to this is very simple, and that is we human beings are completely responsible for this e-waste. Now, why? The question is because, see, we are from science faculty. This is a topic which is related to science, affecting the entire mankind. So we need to address questions: what, why, and so on. What I feel is the primary reason why this is over the years, there is a generation of e-waste, and especially in the recent times. This wasn't a problem around 40 years, 50 years back. Now, why it is so? The first primary reason is there is lifestyle changes. Yes, it's being a revolutionary change in a lifestyle. If we try to compare ourselves with what we were 10 years back or 5 years back and the way of life that we are leading right now, okay, then you can find, you can assess, you can realize that yes, there has been a lot of change as far as your lifestyle is concerned. You're getting much more modernized. Now, this change in the lifestyle is why? Because of the continuous improvement in technologies. The new technologies coming up, the newer technologies are replacing the older ones, and hence the appliances which we talk about, which are the most decisive factor for the e-waste, are getting continuously upgraded. Sometimes the new technology is not being supported by the older devices, and hence those devices are not being used. And that's what we go into the third segment, and that is the end of the intended use. Okay, have an intention of using a particular device, and I want to make sure that the device and the technology go hand in hand. But many times, as I said, it doesn't get supported, and hence that particular device is of no use, and that becomes a waste. So this is what I primarily feel, that three stages, that why this e-waste generation is going to be possible, and that is the change in the lifestyle, the continuous upgradation, and the innovation which is being brought about in the technology, and because of which there are going to be replacement of devices, of older devices which does not support the newer technology. All right, okay, we move to the next one now. Now the most important part is, why do we talk about e-waste? Obviously, as I said, it's going to be harmful, and it's a global issue. It's not only restricted to one particular country. There are various dangers which are being associated with e-waste. So let us try to understand what are the dangers, right? Because that's very important. Then only we come to know or assess the severity of this particular issue. So the first one is, it results in a direct contact with minerals, and all the minerals are not harmless. You got it right, my dear friends. Most of them are toxic. So there are chances that the body is being exposed to toxic materials. And of course, you know very well, I need not talk about that what happens when the body is exposed to toxic materials. Next, inhalation of fumes. Now, many times what happens is, in an attempt of disposing of this e-waste, we'll be discussing about the disposal as well as we go along in this particular session. So many times we carry out incineration, and as a result of this heating it, I mean incineration is heating to a high temperature, which results in fumes, and these fumes are toxic. So we are going to inhale those fumes, and as a result of which, it's going to severely disrupt the respiratory system of our body. Next, these might also interfere with the natural hormones, and that is, in a way, going to affect the reproductive system of the body. So you can see, not only the current generation is at stake, but also the future generation are also in jeopardy. Next, it interferes with the regulatory hormones. Hormones plays a very important role, as you all know, in our body. Various changeovers which are taking place with a particular phase of life. Hormones are responsible, and they interfere. This e-waste will interfere with the hormones. And anything which interferes with the hormones, obviously, because it's something a natural process. And we need to make sure that the natural process takes place naturally. If we try to interfere it, obviously we cannot go against nature. Everybody knows about it. So obviously harmful effects has to be tolerated. Next, kidney damage. Yes, because there are some depositions taking place, and as a result of which, it may damage the kidney. And if the kidney is being damaged, in a way, we can say the excretory system is also being affected. Next, it's going to hamper the brain development. So you can see it is some way affecting the central nervous system. So the development of the brain is being severely hampered. A brain is the control part of our body. So if the development of the brain doesn't take place, obviously the problems which are going to be faced, everybody is aware of. Next, there are going to be various skin diseases. There are some patches, growth of patches, pigmentation, discoloration, all these things happen. So these are some skin ailments. And obviously, with those patches, you obviously feel very much inferior while moving in the society. Muscle weakness, okay, it is going to affect the muscular part as well. And muscles forms a very integral part of the body. And if they become weaker, so obviously our day-to-day activities also are being hampered to a greater extent. Next. Accumulation of chemicals, because when you talk about e-waste, as I said, we have electronic products, and all electronic products are being made up of some of the other type of chemicals. And obviously, when I talk about chemicals, they are going to be toxic. So those chemicals are being accumulated, and as a result of which we are accumulating toxins in our body. And that's going to severely damage the various systems of our body. And the most important part, which I would like to say, and that is developing countries are going to be at high risk because it's those countries where continuous upgradation of technology takes place. And as a result of which, the replacement of the older devices with the new devices takes place. So now we go into the next part, and that is once we understand that, yes, this is something which is dangerous and this has to be curbed down significantly, and it's going to be done at a war footing. Okay, so we cannot afford to extend the time limit as far as the disposal is concerned. So this becomes a very important part, e-waste disposal. The question which comes to everybody's mind is, how can we do that? Okay, what are the various methods by which we can do that? So here comes the answer to your question. First is landfills. But then here there is a problem, and that is that when we are going to dump it into the soil, into the land, so it will come in direct contact with the soil, and that's going to be resulting in formation or resulting in a soil pollution. Uh, One important part over here is, especially when we talk about a country like India, which is an agricultural country. So when I talk about soil pollution, it has got a very high dimension, my dear friends. The productivity of the soil may be hampered. The agriculture produce may be hampered, both quality wise as well as the quantity wise, and which cannot be tolerated. The next is I talk about a few minutes back, and that is about incineration, heating at a high temperature so that they get burnt out, but then that results in fumes, and that may result in air pollution. And with that, there might be some problems with respect to the respiratory disorders and all that stuff. What I feel personally is the important way of disposal, and that is recycle of e-waste and reuse of e-waste. I would here add one more R, and that is reduce the use of electronic products. Now, there are three R's which are so very common in any waste management system: reduce, recycle, and reuse. This, I feel, is the most superior technique over landfills as well as incineration. Now, when I talk about reducing, I don't say that, okay, you stop using the mobile phones and you stop using uh, the calculators and you stop using the smartwatches and all. But what I want to say over here is that you can limit the use of that. Also, at one point of time, what I feel is that whatever is your requirement, if that basic requirement is being satisfied by the current device which you have, I guess it's absolutely fine. Many times, what happens is it's just showbiz going on. When one of my colleague, one of my friend has taken the latest uh, iPhone, I also need to have that, irrespective of the fact that your existing iPhone serves all the purpose which you require, which you intend for. But it's only as a part of showbiz, you're going to try to replace the older one, the existing one, with the newer one. So I guess there has to be a change in the mindset of the people using these electronic gadgets. So this is what I mean when I talk about reduce. Recycle and reuse when we talk about, so that is something where we have the various corporations being involved in this. When I talk about in Mumbai, we have got BMC. So BMC has set up many centers, and in future also there is a proposal of setting up various centers whereby they can facilitate the collection of all those gadgets which are of not of use, and they can be disposed of through this 3 R's by means of reduction, by means of recycling, and by means of reuse. All right. So this is what a simple message which I would like to pass on to this particular short video. I hope you have understood this very well. You have understood the importance of e-waste. So thank you very much.